Now, because this is where we are planted, this is where we are walking, this is where we bow down to receive with the least resistance possible the revelation. And this practice is described in a great story that I'd like to share with you from the Sufi tradition. Once upon a Sufi time, there lived a locksmith who was unjustly accused of crimes and was sentenced to a deep, dark prison. After he had been there for some time, his wife, who loved him very much, went to the king, beseeching the king that he might give her husband a prayer rug so he could observe his 5 prostrations, as is the tradition still in the Muslim practice. The king agreed to this holy thing and gave the woman the permission to bring her husband the prayer rug, who was incredibly thankful to get this rug from his wife and laid it down. And every day, faithfully, he bowed. He did his prostrations on the rug every day. Now, much later, the man escaped from prison. People found him and asked, "How did you get out?" And he said, "After many years of doing prostrations and praying for deliverance from the prison, I began to see what was right in front of my nose. I discovered suddenly that my beloved wife had woven into the prayer rug the very pattern of the lock that had imprisoned me. And once I realized this and understood that all the information I needed to be free was already in my possession, I began then to make friends with the guards." That's what we're up to. He persuaded the guards they would all have a better life if they cooperated and escaped the prison together. And they agreed. And the locksmith and his guards decided they would, on the plan, to bring him incrementally, to bring him pieces of metal that he could fashion into useful items for them to sell in the marketplace. And then they would amass the resources for their escape. From the strongest piece of metal, he would fashion the key. And one night, when everything had been prepared, the locksmith and his guards unlocked the prison, walked into the cool night. Love and practice, attention and skillfulness, welcoming and friending prevailed. So this is our story. This is our situation. We're in prison, but the pattern of liberation is coded right into our situation, into symbolic prison. Now, when we breathe spinal breathing, when we breathe Kriya, this is the prostration. This is the deep, deep attunement to the very pattern that's woven into our body mind. It allows us, breath by breath, to become sensitive to the guidance that is there, reducing our resistance to the radiance, to the holy breath, becoming more and more clarified in our vision, less and less conditioned in our perception. The freedom pathway is right in front of us, individually and collectively. It looks like a series of knots, which is one way of thinking of a rug. It's just a series of knots. But it is also, in fact, a design that, if we follow it, leads us to freedom.